Hi, welcome back to Inside the History here at Battleship Cove. I'm Tom Lowney, GM1, gunner's mate, retired. And we're here today to give you an insight into a little bit of nautical history and terminology, so that way you have a better understanding. On the Battleship Massachusetts, she has 2 anchors. She used to have 3. The other one was over here, and you can see the outline where it was. Now, this wasn't a stockless anchor. This was a fluked anchor as well. It was a backup anchor in case you lost the others. And this cut here, weld, is where the deck was actually tapered down and out, so that way the anchor could be used in emergencies or for other purposes. There's numerous ways you could use that extra anchor. You could use it as a pivot point. If you lost power, you couldn't get the anchors down or back up. Numerous reasons. Originally when she was built, she had one here. So she actually had 3 anchors. Now she has 2, port and starboard side. This one comes out of the port side. Now she's moored here at Battleship Cove to 2 mooring cells, and port anchor chain goes out to help steady the bow for storm. Now, the anchor here you see is a 25,000 pound anchor. Now, the anchor here pivots so that way it can bite into the ground. As it weight's pulled up, the flukes can be pulled back out. And it also acts as a wedge, so when it comes up into the butt end here and locks in, and the flukes can be lashed in case you want to do work on the anchor chain, take out sections and so forth, you can lash that up. Now, as you can see, you have your flukes, you have your pivoting shackles here and connecting to the anchor chain. This is where you would be able to run a cable or line to help lash in the anchor in position if you wanted to work on the anchor chain. Now, each of these anchor chains here have links, usually about 15 fathoms per link. And with that, they're connected. So these links, these anchors were manufactured in Boston, these anchor chains. Now, I'm trying to remember, but I think they're roughly about 80 pounds a link. I have to look that up again. I've forgotten. It's been years. This is the connecting shackle here. This is a detachable link that allows you to connect each length. So as you see the color code here, this is set up so that way when you're using the anchor chain, you'll be able to tell how much is going in and out. Because when you free drop this thing's running like a locomotive and it can kill you. But you also have to keep count of the anchor chain. Since this is stored down below, it gets rusty, it gets dirty, it gets muddy. What you have is a color code. Every length from your connecting point equals 1 fathom, 1 shot, which is 15 fathoms. So on each side. So when it's running out, you're looking for the center one. The center one here is blue. Your anchor chain colors would start red, white, and blue. So there's 2 shots out right now, at least, if not the 3rd. Because this would be 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, measuring point. This is where they connect. Then you have your other going back here as well. So that way, as it runs by you at so many miles per hour, you can tell how many shots are going out and report it to the bridge. Because the anchor isn't what actually holds the ship as much as you think. The weight of the chain acts as an anchor. So the ship, even though if it's moving a drug, that extra weight going out, how many shots will give you a mooring point. So in heavy storms, you can drag an anchor, and it does happen. But the extra weight of how many shots you put out will tell that. So the color code would be red, white, and blue in the Navy. American colors, American flag, red, white, and blue. You got to remember, you're trying to teach sailors to keep an eye on stuff to relate. So that color code, even though you have white in here, but you see so many, you knew that shot was coming out, the next one would be white. So you're waiting for the red one to come after it or the blue one. Now, if you saw a whole length of red, that's a danger. That tells you that you're down to your last shot. That detachable link down below, welded to the bulkhead, is designed to rip out so this anchor chain can run and go without destroying the ship. Because this would rip apart the ship and whatever's in its way. These have killed people. You would not normally be jumping over like this because of the safety issue on board ship on an operating ship, because these are always under tension. You don't want that problem. These are pelican hooks are used and tightened up with a turnbuckle to hold it in place. And if you were to drop the anchor, you'd use your sledgehammer. You'd have a pin here that you'd pull out by lanyard. Some would knock the pelican hook. If the tension was on there, this thing would run like a freight train. You'd do it from this side so that way you wouldn't get hurt. So your pelican hooks are usually set up in series here. These are not proper here. These are set up to the towing hawser that actually should be on these pad eyes here for stowage. So you'd have one outboard, one there. You wouldn't have them on the inboard unless you were doing maintenance or something. Normally they're out here so that way you can trip them and run away from the anchor, because that thing's moving like a freight train. And that thing will rip apart people and machinery or bits or whatever just trying to get out if you have a runaway. Now that's what happened here on the Massachusetts when she went up to Biscuit Bay up in Maine for training right after she was commissioned. And she actually lost an anchor chain. So there's the story. So going in for training prior to going to Casablanca, she was doing a shakedown cruise and additional training before going, and it failed. Over it went. So it was actually the starboard side, and it ran out. So all that anchor chain, once it starts moving, if you can't get the brakes to work, step back, you got to run away. So as far as I know, our anchor and chain is sitting somewhere in Maine, and if anyone finds it, we'd like to get it back here because we don't have much anchor chain. There's another story on our anchor. Most of our anchor chain was taken out to be used by the Air Force to hold down aircraft out in Utah somewhere, because they would actually do a full power test and they used Battleship anchor chain to hold the aircraft down. There's pictures of it. You go online, go look it up. I don't make this up. I just tell you what's out there. But that's what happened to Massachusetts chain. So we only have bare minimum for one side. We're missing the other. So if you find the other length, let us know. Or if you want, hey, bring it up. We'll get it. Just kidding. I mean, Maine has laws. You can't just go and grab it. It's actually historically correct. So we have another animal up here. There's many of them. I'd like to get into more depth. We'll just cover the rat tails that we have on here. Now, a rat tail is something to hold a mooring line once you tension it up from the capsins, because now you're moving mooring lines out your chocks, because you have open and closed chocks, you have cleats, you have names are given to this stuff so that way sailors can remember easily. So the animals, the rat tail was a tied off set of lines you would help secure a mooring line with, because once it's under tension from, say, the pier to the bitts, you would have to secure that and hold that tension while they eased off on the line to the capstan, so you could put your circle, you round the, when you brought the line up, you put your first bite on it, you take the tension off by using a rat tail, and it's usually about 6 foot length of line. Two of them coming off a shackle that's usually tied to either the bit or a pad eye there. And you would wrap it around the line and twist it and hold it while you detensioned it. It would hold it enough. It's called a stopper, rat tails. And you would come back and figure eight your lines, so that way you'd be able to take the tension to the bits. You'd lose some tension. That's why you tightened it a little bit more than usual. But your rat tails would hold it until you got a good bite and figure eight it. Once you figure eighted it up, you'd have all that excess mooring line. What do you do with it? Well, you take it and you make what's called a bird's nest. You'd stop wrapping it until you couldn't wrap it anymore. Then you take the line, you wrap around the outside, you go all the way down to the bottom. You come up and you work your way all the way around until you used up all the mooring line. Whatever excess you had, you stuff down into the empty spaces around the figure eight. So it looked like a bird's nest. Why? Because birds would come and make nests in them if your ship sat too long. Turtle heads, you'd have cat's paws, you'd have all items on board ship that we can go into in depth if we want, but there's more animals. If you're curious, go online, Google them, and look for animals of the forecastle or forecastle. And you'll be able to see all the different names and look them up individually, and you can learn about each part of the ship, because a lot of them dealt with sailing ships, and those terms crossed over to Steel Navy, but a lot of them didn't. But we have a lot on board here. So these are your animals of the forecastle, some of them. Thank you for your time. Hope this gave you a little bit more info into nautical history, and we'll see you out there. If you like what you saw and you want to learn more, help out, like, share, subscribe. And remember, always looking for volunteers. You former boatswain mates and that, if you want to come down here and pretty up the forecastle, we're looking for help as well. So, or any other part of the ship. So give us a call, go online, check us out. Hope to see you out there. Again, my name's Tom Lowney, GM1 retired. Down here Saturdays. Hope to see you. Take care. Thank you.